hey, and welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me and the homie Tom Bomb, a show where we break verbal bread with the quote-unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, we will be here having a conversation with a supporter of City's upcoming opponent. Shout out to all those watching on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up, like the video. To all you lovelies watching the replays, listening to it on the podcast, you beautiful souls,
the real
appreciate you.
MVPs.
Yes, shout out to y'all. Well, today, let's get a little ahead of myself. Let's go further ahead of myself. Thursday afternoon in the U.S., Manchester City. You know, they're going to grab some sunscreen, their floaties. They're going to go to the beach. They're going to ignore all the signs, and they're going to feed some seagulls. I got some questions for our guest. De Zerbi versus Guardiola. Does this mean this is a potential, job interview? Which players could we potentially pilfer from them? Do they think Ansu Fati knew Brighton was in England? Serious questions I gotta ask. Shady Gang, please give it up for our guest, Soni M.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see you guys once again.
Of course. How are you? How are you feeling?
I'm good. You know, just hanging out. It's 9 p.m. here on the East Coast, and I should eat dinner at some point today. I have done absolutely nothing.
I've never been there.
Yeah. Whomst among us?
Literally, who's among us?
I'm still have a few more days of just cold weather before I think finally spring is gonna be here. I don't know. So I made a nice hearty chili.
Ooh, chili. Nice. I love chili so much.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of making sure you have all 5 of the flavor profiles, and chili is one of those meals I really like playing with those.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think I kind of nailed it this one. So I did take some notes and I have locked in, and hopefully that can just be my basic clutch delicious chili that I will always make, and I can just keep elevating that dish.
There you go.
Love that.
Well, all right. Let's get into the footy talk, shall we? Well, actually, the first question is more of a get to know our guest. It is the easiest one of the show, and I know you've told us before, but there's new listeners, there's new people. So enlighten us, please. Let us know, how did you become a fan of Brighton?
Yeah, so I'm Soni M. I've been a fan since I want to say summer 2022. I became a fan because I was at home stuck with COVID and I needed something new to watch. My baseball team was gonna lose about 107 games. So I needed a new sport. I needed a new sport to watch because I could not watch baseball anymore. So I watched one game, which was the Manchester United versus Brighton. And they ended up winning against Manchester United, and just seeing them be excited and watching all of Brighton Twitter be thrilling about just being thrilled about their team winning and beating a big team, because obviously Big Six, that whole mentality thing. And so, after engaging with them for a little bit, I was like, you know what? I need to adopt a new team. They seem pretty chill. And I just kind of been with them since. I have visited Brighton 2 times already. And every single time I go, they're just so happy to see me again. And I just hang out with all my friends there. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Just to be welcomed into the fold like that. And then anytime that we mention a Manchester United loss on this podcast, we as City fans get amped. So we're all about that. So absolutely.
What's it like being a plant for big money, for big Amex, huh? already been there twice and everybody loves seeing you? I
Yeah.
bet you do, huh?
I mean, listen. I didn't ask people to like me. They were just like, hey, you're cool. We're just going to adopt you as a Brightonian. And I'm like, are you sure? I'm American. They're like, no, that's okay. Like in February, I was there and I went to a coffee shop, just randomly went to a coffee shop. And like the barista became my friend. The two like random guys that were just sitting at a table became my friend. And they're just like, here, you back here tomorrow? Like, let's talk about like random stuff. And so I just kept going every day to that same coffee shop for a week. And we were talking about football at one point, and another person walks in, I assume from their neighborhood, and it's like, oh my God, another Brighton fan? Wait, you're telling me they're American? Oh my God, I have to give you all of these like programs. Are you going to be back here tomorrow? Like, let me just give these to you. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So, yeah, it feels as an adopted American into a seaside community, it actually feels pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that does sound pretty amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, so it's the end of the season. I would like to talk about Brighton's work in the transfer market. João Pedro, he leads Brighton in XG at 14.1. And second is Pascal Gross with an XG of 6.1. Like, that's a huge drop off.
Yeah, it's huge.
Verbruggen, or however you say his name, your new young keeper. He's not like the sweeper keeper, distributor, Deserby would want. However, advanced stats when it comes to shot blocking is much better than the other keeper, Jason Steele. Side note, Jason Steele, that name has big Only Shades vibes.
Listen, as a keeper, I love Jason Steele. We are actually the same age. So I can actually relate to him in a sense. Because he gets crap on all the time whenever games go wrong. And so I'm always having to be that person that's like, wait, no, Jason Steele. Yeah, sure, he had a bad day today, but hey, like he did what he was supposed to do. That's why Deserby puts him in there because he's doing stuff. But yeah, Bart Verbruggen, a lot of people definitely want him to be like the permanent number one. And it actually has been proven in the last couple of games that, yeah, despite, conceding a goal or two, he's been able to block some really good shots in places that even Jason Steele wouldn't be able to block them. So he's been pretty well since the round of 16 exit.
Yeah. And what about like, I mean, actually, we'll get to it, but put a bookmark on the João Pedro leading XG because he's not really. I mean, he's doing good in minutes, but he's not really in. I don't think he's in the top 5. So it's not. I mean, it's cool to see that he's being as efficient or dynamic as he is, but I mean, it's not the best if a player who isn't consistently playing is leading your team in XG by a significant amount. And I know that's not necessarily goals, but it does say something. But I will keep it going because you also brought in Baliba and Igor, or as I lovingly know them as, the Bash brothers. So there's Igor, 27 games played, 15 starts, 6 yellow cards. And then there's Baliba. Oh,
Bless
excuse
you.
me. Thank you. Baliba, 31 matches played, 14 starts, and 7 yellow cards. Ansu Fati, womp womp. Looking back, more allergies. My allergies are kicking my butt, honestly, today with this change of weather. And they did a bunch of yard work where I'm around. Woo! Great. Sorry for the people listening in the audio. This is not great for you. But yeah, Ansu Fati, that he's been kind of disappointing. Looking back at the season so far, how have the new players held up?
We've been plagued by a lot of injuries. I will say that. So going back to the João Pedro thing, he got injured. Ansu Fati got majorly injured and was out for a while. We had Igor also injured, out for a while. And then Baliba wasn't really put in until maybe like mid towards like now. So like the last couple of games, we've seen him a lot. Again, all of that because of injuries, right? So the reason why João Pedro, despite what numbers he has, it's because like we play him for a short bit and then he gets injured and then we don't see him for like a couple of weeks. So we're just constantly rotating people in back and forth, which sucks. But Igor, I love Igor because a lot of the Brighton fans call him like this gigantic wall. It's like, okay, yeah, they're going to put this guy against Igor. Igor's going to block the shit out of them. But Baliba definitely, ever since he's been making more starts, he has been improving. He is supposed to be the Caicedo replacement. I don't believe in Caicedo replacements. I believe in just replacements, you know? So like we're replacing Caicedo's spot with Baliba, but the progress hasn't been fast enough, which is why we haven't been seeing him most of the season. So he's kind of been like slowly integrated in again because of injuries.
So just kind of jump. I Crank, if I jump too far ahead, let me know. But just kind of looking at the fixture list for the last calendar year, like Brighton only has 6 wins, 3 in the league, hasn't won in a month. Like, is it simply like, oh, we're an injured team right now and we're kind of like limping to the finish line? Do you get the sense that De Zerbi kind of has one foot out the door and he's looking at other places and then maybe other players are kind of picking up on that too? Like, where do Brighton supporters kind of come down on like the, I don't know, lack of results over the last 4 months?
Oh man, you touched the subject that everybody's been poking at for weeks now. So let me give you guys a primer on Brighton Twitter really quick, right? So De Zerbi is very outspoken. He will speak whatever's on his mind. He does not care. He's very unfiltered. He's Italian. What do you expect from the guy, right? So I like that kind of style. I prefer to be told 100% brutal honesty, you know? I don't think the Brighton fans are used to that. They're used to, being dead set in their ways. They're used to supporting Tony Bloom, like no matter what happens, that sort of thing. And so when De Zerbi started talking and sounded like he wasn't being supportive enough, that's when Brighton fans actually started turning. They were just like, he's bashing our owner. Like our owner's definitely done all that he needs to do. Like, you gotta support the owner. You can't really say that out loud, like in front of like the media, because it just looks bad and so on and so forth. So a lot of people are kind of like, at this point, if De Zerbi leaves, they're just like, all right, cool, bye. I personally don't want him to leave because I know he has potential. This is definitely an off year. We saw last year's results and how high we ended up going. And that's because like collectively as a unit, we were together. But now because of this, like because of the media spotlight that De Zerbi's in between like being told that he's going to go to Bayern Munich or Barcelona at one point, just all of these people trying to come after him, it's painting a narrative that like, oh, he met with this team, he's leaving. Okay, great. And people are just, at this point, people are starting to lose like their love for De Zerbi, which is unfortunate, And again, I think it's because they're not used to hearing that kind of like talk. They're not used to hearing someone being like, I don't feel supported. Let me tell you why, And I feel like in a way, because of the fact that the fans aren't like some of the fans aren't being as supporting enough to like De Zerbi, it's starting to probably go into the team as well, just a little bit, right? So obviously like you want to keep team morale up, but if you're constantly losing all the time and then your coach is like the fans are turning away from the coach saying, okay, cool, if he's leaving, like bye. And then you start thinking, okay, well, who's our next coach? That's where the disconnect starts happening. Now keep in mind, De Zerbi has always been supportive of his players no matter what happens, right? He will always say, hey, we messed up. or, hey, I didn't think this was appropriate, right? And if his players didn't do right, he will say the players didn't play well today. They just didn't do what they were supposed to do. Like, he's honest about that stuff. And I feel like that kind of honesty is what we need in a team that's looking to progress and grow. Because you can't stay in the same mentality for years. You got to keep like going up. And if your objective is to hit Europa again, like next year or the year after that, or even make it to Champions League, you're going to need a higher mentality. And I feel like they're just not embracing that well enough. And now that's just my perspective. I can be completely wrong, but this is what I've been reading over the last couple of weeks. And at some point I had to distance myself from Brighton Twitter because it was just getting too toxic. Like it was just nothing but like, okay, De Zerbi can leave. We don't care about him. Like we, like the team is going to lose. Like, I don't know if we're going to make it through, like all this stuff. It's like, it's kind of bordering like middle negative ground now. But I mean, it's a whole bunch of different factors, right? You're talking about people getting injured. So already like the fans are upset because their favorite players aren't on the team. Like we don't have Mitoma for the rest of the season because he had a back injury, right? We lost Solly March earlier this year because he messed up like his knee, like we've had all these injuries kind of stack up. And while we were playing in Europa, they all started getting hurt. So like we'd play Europa and then like a domestic game would happen and then they would get hurt and the cycle would just continue and continue and continue. So people are at this point are just pointing fingers at whatever they can find. And right now they're kind of going towards De Zerbi. So I think the latest reports I think I saw yesterday or today was that he spent 8 hours talking to Bayern Munich and that it was 70% like there. I don't know if that's a credible source or not, but seeing that was like, whoa, okay.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. I was going to ask if there was anybody else. And wow, that would be I feel that's a big move for both Bayern and De Zerbi.
Because it feels like a big leap of faith for Bayern. And like it feels like a real big step up for De Zerbi.
Yeah.
And so some people, because of his performance, are thinking like he's not as attractive to big teams now because of the dip in performance and just how things have been playing out. Personally, I think he's going to go to whatever team is going to like obviously entice him with projects the most, and just, I mean, we've done some pretty good trades. Like João Pedro definitely paid off dividends, but that's the thing. It wasn't De Zerbi's player. They just grabbed him. So the players that De Zerbi's brought, for example, I want to say, what's his name? Mahmoud Dahoud. He didn't pan out well. He ended up having to get loaned out because he wasn't like getting minutes. And then he got a red card and then some sort of discrepancy happened, which nobody knows about. So he got loaned. He got loaned out. Yeah. So there are a few players that haven't definitely shaken out. Ansu Fati is another one who hasn't paid dividends either. For the amount that the team has been paying him, he hasn't been producing. And so fans are also just like, if he leaves, he leaves, Ansu Fati apparently wants to stay at Brighton, but at the end of the day, like if the team doesn't want him, he can't, like he can't stay. He's got to go. So
yeah.
Is there, as a Brighton fan, is there a place that you do not want to see De Zerbi go? Because, like, I already know what mine is, but I want to hear your answer.
I think I don't have anything off the top of my head for sure. Crystal Palace obviously is a number one on the list. Fuck Crystal Palace, let's be real. But like other bigger teams, I don't really have a preference for. Unless you're Chelsea, then I don't want Chelsea either. Like, no.
Of course, naturally.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because my thought is like I don't want to see him at Liverpool because I feel like Liverpool might have like the building blocks for what he wants to do, especially
nobody wants to go to Liverpool.
I mean, no. Like,
yeah.
I don't even
Ruben, the boy they were linked to, is now also being linked to West Ham and other places, and it's being said that it's unlikely he's going to go to Liverpool. I don't even know who their backup is. Actually, no, I lied. I did see a backup name, but it was, yeah.
I mean, there are so many coaches that are linked to like Liverpool, Barcelona.
Yeah, they're linked to all the same clubs.
Yeah, they're all linked to the same clubs. That's why I don't really buy like these sources until later on down the road because the season hasn't been completed yet, you know? And until the season wraps up and transfer windows open, that's when you're going to start seeing movement for sure.
So is there like as a Brighton, it sounds like you've kind of already accepted the inevitability that that De Zerbi is going to leave. As a Brighton fan, is there any manager that like you kind of have your eye on that you would like to see, or you just kind of take that as it comes?
I'm kind of taking it as it comes. I don't really have a preferred list per se, mostly because I trust that the team and obviously De Zerbi too, I think said at one point that if it was his time to leave, he would help the club find like a new successor to go with it. So and De Zerbi doesn't seem like the type where he's just like, screw this, I'm out and just like ups and walks away. I feel like he kind of has a plan in place for every step of his progression. And of course, the team, the way how Brighton operates is always they're looking forward. They're always looking into their data to see who's going to be the next like superstar of some kind. So they're probably doing the same thing with coaches. I know that today they were talking about Vincent Kompany being like tapped to be the next Brighton manager, but of course, Burnley themselves was like, nah, it's not happening. Like that's not true at all. So I mean, there's new stuff every day. I think they mentioned De Rossi from AS Roma too at one point, but again, all of that they're not like substantiated evidence enough to say, hey, this is going to be our new manager. So I'm pretty much just willing to wait and see like who the team and who De Zerbi wants to like replace. If that does happen, maybe he does like a 180s like JK, I'm staying at Brighton another year, I'm going to finish my contract. Like nobody knows at this point. We keep seeing our sources post new stuff every day, but at the same time, like they immediately get refuted like 20-30 minutes later. It's like, oh, we got a new source, this says that it's not happening. So we never know. We don't know.
Well, here's an offer from a Chelsea supporter. Pochettino for De Zerbi, just swap.
Absolutely not. No, thank you. You can keep that guy. You can send him to a different team. Absolutely not.
Just not yours, John.
No. We've already seen what Pochettino does, and just no.
That's fair. Let's talk about something a little positive. Your boy Valentin Barco. Like,
yes.
How is he doing? How are you still excited about the prospect of him coming to Brighton, even though they're kind of in a weird spot at this moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually went and got his jersey when I was in England in February. And I'm pretty sure I was the first one to have it. So I took a picture, was like proof I have the first Valentin Barco jersey. I did it. But we have seen him play. I think he made like a little blip of a debut. I want to say during an FA Cup game, and then he was on the field for his first Premier League start a couple of games ago for like maybe 90 seconds tops. And like we saw two sides of him. We saw Barco do really well during the FA Cup run, and then we saw Barco doing really bad in 90 seconds, right? And so a lot of people were already starting to call him a bust because they were just like, oh, well, you can see that he can't control the ball. You can see that he can't do this. He got the ball and then he lost it. Like that sort of thing. But on the flip side, you saw him during the FA Cup run where he was just kind of cutting through people left and right. And everyone just got really excited about it because they're like, oh shit, we just got our new like Argentine like on our team and he's getting used to stuff. I've seen more action from him during the international breaks. So, for example, he was playing with Facundo Buonanotte during the last international break when they were here in the US. So, at one point, I believe Scaloni had said that, Barco definitely trained well with the team, which is why he got picked as a substitute. But there were a few things that he needed to work on, and of course, he told De Zerbi like, "Hey, he's training well. However, like there are some things that he truly needs to work on to improve as a player." I know at one point they had also said on Brighton Twitter that he was getting loaned out later, but it doesn't seem to be, again, true. I would like to see him play at least half a what's it called? First half. I want to see like a first half or a second half of him playing. Just so that way we can all get a better grasp of what he's like on the field. We've seen him play with Boca Juniors. We've seen him play with the national team. I want to see him play for a longer period of time with Brighton, so that way everybody can get like a better grasp or a better like sampling size of what he can do, because he's great. But I think it's just the adjustment from the Argentine Premier League to the English Premier League that's kind of like messing up his flow.
It's a big jump in speed and physicality, intensity. Yeah. And he's already not the biggest dude and kind of moves more on technique. So yeah, he just has to tighten things up, which I believe he would do. Yeah, it's a player like that too, because you have to make sure if you do loan him off, he has to be loaned off to a team that can really help him grow where he needs to grow instead of just sending him away. Because, I mean, I know from experience, I feel like there are times City just send players off to send players off, and they're not necessarily really putting them in places to succeed.
Romeo Lavia.
And then they don't succeed, and City's just like, oh no, they haven't succeeded, let's send them off for money. And
right.
It just happens over and over
again. I would he has the drive. There's nothing that says that he doesn't want to play. This guy has literally been begging to play since he basically touched English soil, right? But obviously, like, De Zerbi's not going to put someone who literally just came from a different country like on the field within like 3 days. You know what I mean? Like, he's obviously going to give him some time and give him a little bit of prep work to kind of get used to his system and whatnot. But I don't think he should be loaned, because we saw an example of that earlier this year when the January transfer window was open, and there were already names floating out, particularly Facundo Buonanotte, because he's also from Argentina, showed up and was also having a little bit of difficulty. But Facundo stepped up and was like, hey, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to fight for my place. And we've seen what happens when they step up. They literally step up. They fight for the place. Facundo's already done like a bunch of starts already, and he has been improving, and he got some goals in this year. So like that is conclusive evidence of a fighting spirit. And I believe Barco is going to be the same way too. Like, he's going to definitely argue for his place on the team. And we have him for, I think, 2.5 years. So it's only time will tell, like, hopefully we can get him in like a good groove. So once the season ends, obviously he does his like preseason training, and we'll probably see way more of him next year. But I would like to see him get some minutes before the season ends this year.
Are there any players that you are worried about that might leave Brighton if De Zerbi leaves?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm unsure. I know that there are a bunch of players that are currently in the eyes of other teams that could potentially leave. I know Ferguson is definitely talked about. I know Billy Gilmore's name was kind of floating around. What is it? Danny Welbeck's contract is up after the season. Pascal Gross apparently might go back to Germany. Like, there are so many different like scenarios that could be playing out right now, but I don't really know particularly if there is a player that's like, if De Zerbi leaves, I'm leaving, again, all of that we'll see what happens like when the transfer window opens, when the season ends, because I truly can't pick like which player looks like they're most ready to just leave, jump ship.
Man. Okay, so we'll just stay on this whole idea because I've been kind of coming at Brighton really since we started with, yes, you can keep buying cheap and getting huge return on investment, and that's a thing, but how successful can you be in Champions League? How consistently can you land in a Champions League or Europa spots? Or do you want to be history, or do you want to be a financial institution that hires football players? And so this summer I feel is important because I mean, I know Roberto doesn't feel supported, but that also kind of goes into my thought process because I'm not saying go and spend more players, but every player you purchase can't be $10 million and less. And if you're going to spend money, I don't think it's really on like, actually, nope. I was going to try to think of someone, but yeah, I don't know. It's just, do you see them, or have you heard any rumblings on the team maybe changing their mindset, maybe trying to keep and hold on to some of these key players and seeing what they can do?
Yeah, so I believe I want to say like time is blurred for me, so I'm trying to remember all the stuff that's been said online. I know at one point they had mentioned that Tony Bloom was willing to spend big on transfer this season. And I think that's because his renewed dedication to going back to Europa after the first stint, now that he's experienced it, he's like, okay, cool. We don't have any problems. We're going to just go for it, which could mean a number of things. We can either buy low and sell high later, like we've been doing, high risk, high reward type deal, or we're going to go out and actually buy experienced players to kind of help us out, because we definitely have some spots on the field that need additional backups. Like, for example, Estupinian, when he gets hurt, we technically don't have a dedicated left back. Estupinian is the dedicated left back. And we said this last year too. I said this last year. I was like, we need someone who can back him up in case things go sideways, right? And yeah, we can keep filling that hole up with like other players that can play left back, but it's not the dedicated left back, you know? And because we don't have a dedicated left back, you end up going into rotation. You end up just keep rotating players in and out to see what sticks. And then that becomes a problem. So it looks like the owner and the CEO are planning to spend big this summer, in terms of who they want to keep or who they want to sell or whatever that case may be. Again, up in the air. Everything is moving parts at Brighton right now. You have like the coaching situation happening, you have a player situation happening. Like there's just so much going on, and none of that dust is going to settle until after the season.
So, I know like one of the things that like City has like been blessed with is like it seems like Cheeky Beristan and Pep Guardiola seem to be on the same page with like the type of players that they are looking into, the type of players that they bring into the squad, the type of players that they like. Do you feel that there is a disconnect between De Zerbi and David Weir, the technical director, and like is that something that Brighton fans talk about? Because it seems like based off of some of De Zerbi's comments, it would appear that they are not on the same page.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it, that they're not on the same page. I don't know in particular like who is who exactly is the person that's causing the disconnect, whether it be De Zerbi, whether it be someone on recruiting, whether it be like Tony Bloom himself. Like we're all kind of talking like, oh, it's Tony Bloom and De Zerbi just not like connecting together. Like something's going on, like there's a rift happening. In terms of recruitment, like I've mentioned before here, like Brighton already has a system in place that they use all of their collective data, thanks to Tony Bloom, to find and scout players from all over the world to, potentially spot, bring to Brighton, so on and so forth. So the algorithm is definitely doing its job. I believe at this point it's now a personnel issue. And again, I could say 50-50 blame for both parties, like one of them is pushing too hard, the other one isn't pushing hard enough. Like everyone's at fault at this point. As much as I love Deserby, he's kind of like he has his points, but then he also has his drawbacks. And the same thing goes with the owner, where he has his points, but he also has his drawbacks. So everybody gets equal blame, 100%.
So if Deserby does leave in the summer, do you want to see a full like revamp of the technical staff? So then that way, whoever is brought on as the technical director then like seems to be like on the same page with whoever the manager is. So then there's not that disconnect.
Yes and no, because we have another coach. We have Andrea Maldera, who filled in for Deserby for one of the games when I believe he had teeth surgery earlier this year. And Maldera actually did a pretty good job. Despite the fact that we lost, he was out there just like, telling the players what to do, where to go, because Deserby couldn't talk. So he had to do all of the stuff and everything. And believe it or not, he did a pretty good job. I would hate to see him lose his like position, because he definitely brings like a different air to the team when he's helping out. He obviously goes hands in hands with Deserby. I don't know if Deserby would take him. I don't know if he would leave him. I wouldn't like to see a reamp. I would like to see someone that kind of already fits the system as is, so that way we can continue the job. Yeah, obviously use that as a building block to whatever project they want to develop. But if we already have like a dedicated like a coaching team in place and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing properly, I don't see the reason to change. Now, I will say, if we can get a new set piece coach, we're solid. Our set pieces are trash. I'm sorry. We just lose all the time with set pieces. So everybody stays except for the set piece coach. That's all I want.
I feel that City have gotten a new set piece coach, and the goals we've scored from set pieces, the type of goals we've scored from set pieces, I have I cannot tell you the last time I've seen like just glorious set piece goals from City. Like it's been a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, we tend to concede a lot of goals with other set pieces, and it's just like, why do we have this problem? Like, not even goalkeeping. Like, yeah, sure, we could probably like reamp the goalkeeping coaches as well, but it's mostly just been set pieces that have been kind of holding us back.
Yeah, and we get some comments in here. Estupinian.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to be honest. Every single time I hear Estupinian, I was telling people when I was younger, I had this little habit of dating Latinas, and I just hear Estupinian, and all I think is stupido, and I just see like the long big nails just like being pointed at my face, and just like tiny little things being all just like spicy. And I get a little triggered. So, like, honestly, hearing his name is kind of upsetting at moments, but we move. We've seen that concept firsthand a couple times with Vieira and Arteta. Sony spitting facts. And, a Mark over here agreeing. Brighton, they have peaked in the current plan, and the season will reshape and level up.
Shout out to Mark. I love that guy so much. He moved to the States earlier this year, and like he's been part of the Stateside Seagulls. So love you, Mark. Hope you're doing okay.
Welcome to America, Mark.
Right.
Thanks for hopping on, and hopefully you enjoy this and stay in touch. We can never have too many Brighton people a part of Shady Gang.
For certain.
Here's my favorite part of this conversation of each episode of Breaking Bread. It's where you get to talk up your players, but equally, right after, have you just slap someone down and be like, bang, they need to be doing better. So we're going to start on the positive.
Yep.
Who do you feel are our players that have been standouts, that have been excelling, are just doing better than everyone else? If excelling is like too strong of a word.
Ooh, doing better than everyone else. Let's take a look. Trying to think. I will give credit to Billy Gilmore. He definitely stepped up this year because we didn't get to see a lot of him the year before that because of a bunch of issues, but he's definitely like fallen into the mix. We miss his presence on the field when he gets injured, and he's just there. Like he's always on the ball. Love that guy very, very much. On the downside of that, as much as I love him, there are little technical things need to get worked on. Just little bit of technical pieces just need to get worked on. Evan Ferguson, great striker. I need him to have more confidence though. That guy lost confidence after like maybe 3 or 4 goals, and then we never see him score a goal ever again. And like he has great mentality and everything. We don't know what's wrong with him, you know? You know how in baseball they have the yips?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like he has the football yips because he will touch the ball, he'll move around, but then the second the goal is in front of his face, gone. The thing, the ball is gone. It's over for him, right? Jason Steele, great goalie, despite what Brighton Twitter likes to say about him, aka he's trash and that he needs to be off the team forever. He does fit in De Zerbi's system. I just need him to block the ball better. Like, don't concede stupid goals. Like, don't be out of place when you know the player is literally going to be like right there within 2 seconds, you know? Because at the end of the day, we don't have a lot of clean sheets this year. Like I think off the top of my head, I can only count of maybe 3 or 4 tops, which is sad, you know? And some of that came from our Europa runs. And if you look at them domestically, they're kind of not good. It's bad. 5. That is a depressing number. Okay. That is such a depressing number. I can't tell you the amount of times I'm just like, are we going to not let a goal come in today? And then the moment I say that, goal comes in, I'm like, all right, fine. It's over. It's cool. Let's see. Who else can I complain about? That's pretty much it. I don't really have a lot of complaints. I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen like maybe the last 1 or 2 games just because of time constraints, you know, like I have a life, I have things to do. It just happens, but I do get to see like the highlights. I do get to see what people are saying. And I obviously get to watch the game like a little bit later, but they're just, yeah. Yeah. I mean, collectively as a team, Brighton can do better. It's just a matter of tightening up and just, you know, like focusing in, locking in. And I think that's our problem right now because there's so many distractions that are going on. I don't think we're locking all the way in.
I'm with you. Is it true Matoma, Stupinan, Gilmore, Ferguson, and Lamptey are all injured?
Sadly.
Ooh.
Sadly.
Woof.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah. If you look at our list of injured, we could probably have a starting 11 injury list, like right there. It's not good.
Yeah, when I was looking at your like the squad and the matches played, it was a good like 15, 16 players that had played between like 2 and 3 matches all the way up to like 19, 20 matches. Like a lot of inconsistency, and that's tough for a manager when you don't really know what starting lineup you're going to be able to have. There's no consistency, continuity. You can't build continuity and chemistry between the team.
Yeah.
That's super tough.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people are giving him shit because of the rotation, and it's like it's because all of our players are just getting injured. What do
Yeah,
you
no
what
choice.
Yeah, you have no choice but to rotate. What do you do, you know?
Mhm.
And I can't sit here and be like, "Well, we shouldn't rotate this guy because of X, Y, and Z." The coaches know better than I do. Okay. If they're injured, I'm going to take their word that they're injured. Like we've seen sprained ankles. We've seen what is it? Crap. What's his name? Hinshelwood. Hinshelwood actually, I think, fractured his foot or something,
Oh,
and he was a rising star coming from like what is it? The under 21s or the under one of the other
The
teams, right?
U23s.
Yeah, U23s, right? So here he is coming up and he's playing well. He's obviously making plays, like he's scoring goals. He's a Brighton like boy, born and bred, that sort of thing. And then he gets injured, like you already just lost a star in the making, and for him to actually, get better and then get back into form, that's going to take some time, right? And that's going to be the same thing with all the players that have been out for quite a period of time. We keep rushing them in and then they keep getting hurt. So at this point, it's like, Jesus, take the wheel, because there's not much that we can do. It sucks, but that's just the reality of things. We just keep rotating because everybody keeps getting hurt and everybody gets upset. But what do you do? There's not much you can do.
mhm. Carrie, not sure if you went over this already, but curious as to why Brighton haven't played a match since April 13th. Lots of rest for them heading into the match against City. 12 days. I feel like that's been kind of the consistent storyline for Team City are playing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like it's gonna matter. Like looking at your guys'
I
injury
know.
list, like Matoma's not just gonna like all of a sudden be better and be able to be ready to play.
Right. Like at this point of the season, I'm just again, Jesus, take the wheel. Whatever happens. We just got to finish the season out and then start fresh again, because like the people that we want are not going to come back anytime soon. That's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, I don't know why we have such a long break like that, but maybe we're cooking. You don't know. We won't know until Thursday, right? Like we're not going to see what happens until we get on the pitch and all 90 minutes are done, plus additional time. So,
Someone call Sharpie when we was talking about trying to figure out the stats, and also
4-1 is still a clean sheet.
3-0. It's a 3-0 win, baby. It's a 3-0 win.
That's right.
Oh yeah, and then Stones. Yeah, I feel like unfortunately we keep rushing him back. And he gets hurt. Yeah, and it's funny too, because with Stones, I feel like it's either he's getting hurt because he's coming back too soon, or he's not playing consistently enough, so that also messes with him. I don't know, it's tough, and it's really awful to be like, nope, I'm not gonna say what I'm about to say. I was about to say something real spicy that I know upsets people. Nope, nope.
Okay,
so,
fine.
You're the spicy one on the show. Nope. I've grown in my 2+ years of doing the show. I've learned that not every ridiculous spicy thing I need to say needs to be said.
Let the intrusive thoughts win.
Hey,
that's all I'm saying.
If this was a lit stream, maybe I'd wild out. But right now, no.
Okay, so go ahead.
Go for it, Tom.
No, he's hurt currently, but you all probably have like my least favorite player in the history of the Premier League.
I already know where he's going.
In your squad, like, and I hate him. Like, just despise him because he said that he was leaving City to go to Liverpool to win trophies, and all of the trophies that he won with Liverpool, he could have won with us, but
and
more, yeah. But James Milner,
love that guy. I haven't seen him in forever though.
Yeah, so looking that he says he's got a thigh injury, and he may or may not be back for this upcoming match.
Hope it
What
fell off his bone.
I mean, yeah, I do. Just like a rotisserie chicken, like thigh, chicken thigh, just like that. So it does look like that for the most part, your team is relatively young. Like, what kind of role does Milner serve um on the team? Like, kind of not necessarily on the pitch.
It's more, I want to say it's more of like a leadership thing. So obviously we will have Milner, we have Gross, which both guys are obviously experienced. And then you obviously have Lewis Dunk, who's, captain. Just having someone who had experience with a bigger team, showing the other guys like, hey, this is what you can do, like this is how you can fix things, so on and so forth. Little tweaks like that, and just like general camaraderie help out a lot, because again, you have experience, you got different perspectives, you got like our team is filled with a bunch of personalities, and of course with different personalities you kind of have to adapt to like what they are like, and how they learn, that sort of thing. I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen him on the field in forever. Like he kind of fell off the face of the earth after he got injured, and like
Mm.
nobody's really asked like, hey, where's Milner at? Like no one's like, all right, whatever. um but he definitely serves a role, and there have been quotes by younger players that's like, oh yeah, I've talked with James Milner, like he said to do this instead, or like he's a pretty nice guy, keeps the clubhouse morale like elevated, that sort of thing. So it's little stuff like that. It doesn't have to be necessarily on the field. I can remember the one time where Gross and Milner actually got into it because they just weren't communicating properly, and that was kind of messing up their flow. Um, but ever since then, it's been pretty smooth sailing. So,
And Scarface, the king of scarves.
Yeah.
If he's complimenting your scarf,
You're doing
those
good.
are good things.
You're doing good. If he,
yes.
Doing good.
Yeah, these are going to be my favorite. So this one is from the summer series. The Stateside Seagulls made some really
yeah.
pretty scarves that have the dates on the back of them. So they're
that's
pretty
nice.
cool. One of them was given to me at a party at the summer series, and then the one above is actually from Brighton itself. So you have 3 different scarves with 3 different stories on them.
That's dope.
I'm trying to look at where we're going. Honestly, so we don't go over the hour mark. Let's just talk about how you see this match going and give us a score prediction.
Okay. Funny enough, somebody on Twitter, because I had posted about the stream, I was like, hey, you guys should come watch. And one of my friends was like, yeah, so, despite the fact that I was filled with beer and whatnot, I was hanging out with a City fan, and I was saying we were going to win. And he was like, we're just going to draw. We're just going to draw 1-1. That's the bare minimum of what we want. And I feel like that's what's going to end up happening. We're just going to end up drawing. I don't see a win, as much as I hate saying that. I just, with everything going on, I don't know if we can scrape together a win. If we get 3 points, great, but I'm definitely seeing a draw in my future. Probably like 1-1, 2-2, like something low scoring. So
Oh, I do not like that.
Yeah, I know. It's not ideal, but it's true.
She did the prediction a little early, so I wanted, now that we're talking about it, Brighton have been in not the best form, and then I would like that. We need a win, 3-1 City. I would like that. Let's get that, Carrie. And anybody else who's watching, toss in those score predictions. Let us know how you think the match is going to go. Tom, what are you thinking?
Oh, well, I think this match is going to be bananas. I think that there's going to be 6 goals in this match. I think it's going to be a 4-2 match, City. I think that Brighton will probably score first. And I think it will be one
Yeah.
of those like, oh, defending is optional. And I think that anytime that this team gets into a defending is optional sort of match, like um I rate City's defenders higher than I'd rate Brighton's defenders. Not just in defense, but also pushing up into the attack. So especially with Estupinian out, yeah, I think this is going to be like a 4-2 match.
I mean, he's not wrong, though. He's not wrong, because the moment that we're score, it happens every time. Moment that we score, we're just like, oh, great, we scored early. Nothing's going to happen. And then everything happens. So I totally get where Tom Bomb's coming from, because
Oh, yeah.
that will happen. That will always happen.
Like, I think it'll be a situation where, like, Brighton will score within like the first 12 minutes of the match, and it'll be like, oh my gosh. But it, like, I know that Charlie's made this point before, and shout out to the homie Browley Hammers fan, and he said, well, crap, we scored too early when he was on our live stream. And I was like, I really do think that that's probably what it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's either that or City scores first, and then we just try clawing our way back, and it won't pan out. Or we will claw our way back, but it will be too little too late. So.
Oh, Mark, you're killing me here.
I know.
What's Mark saying?
I think 3-2 to City, but nervous end for City. The Liverpool boys, Oklahoma and Milner for a W.
I am very proud of myself that I have not cursed James Milner's name. I have not cursed while mentioning James Milner. So I'm very proud of myself. Mark,
I'm proud of you too.
Let's keep it that way, Mark.
That's what we call growth.
Correct.
I want to be able to be the brash, ridiculous self that I was last season, but this team hasn't given me any inspiration to do so. And every single time I try to do that, they just make me look a fool. So I'm gonna agree with Scarf. 2-0.
Like
2-0 win, clean sheet, which again, the only people who get clean sheets at Manchester City are the women's side. They're the only ones who know how to shut teams down defensively. So if the men manage to find a way to get a clean sheet, I might hit the Holy Ghost on camera. Like, I don't know. It's like might start speaking tongues. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be beautiful.
I listen. I get that. If you do, more power to you.
Oh man. I just know it's gonna be a stressful match. It's one of those things. City this whole season, it's been kind of like, it's the end of the season. That's where you focus. It's when you focus. And I know it was against Real Madrid, and like, I'm not taking too much against the club for losing to Real Madrid, but it definitely it takes the wind out of your sails a little bit. And I'm proud that they handled things against Chelsea, and Pep didn't rotate too much, so we looked leggy. But at least now we're not in the Champions League, so we can somewhat rest. Like, it's crazy seeing, well, this week there's still 2 matches in a week, but like next week there's only 1 match in a week. And the week after that there's only 1 match. And I know the players, that's going to be huge for the City players.
Yeah, just getting that 5 to 7 days of rest between matches is going to be amazing.
Yeah, like 4 consecutive days of like actual rest, like that is something that they haven't felt in months.
Yeah.
Well, Sony, please plug yourself. Let listeners, viewers, all that things, let them know how they can find you.
Yeah. So, as always, I'm Soni M. You can find me on Twitter at _, Soni M. Very short, sweet, straight to the point. I do like talking to everybody. So if you have anything, if you want to say stuff, even if you just want to say hi, come through, say hi. I usually respond. I also have a podcast called 3 Pints Podcast, where
Let's
it
go.
is two British folks and one American just talk shit about life in general.
Love it.
So it's very easy, very carefree kind of stuff. You know, it will have a little bit of a sports element to it, but it's not really sportsy. It's more of just like, let's talk about life. So that you can find us on Twitter at 3 Pints Podcast. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Up the Albion.
Let's go. Shady Gang. Get up. All right, we will be back. We got plenty of shows for you. We record tomorrow, and then your favorite wrestling podcast, I record after that. And then there's Let's Stream Thursday night. We have our Breaking Bread also, another one for the match this weekend against Nottingham Forest with Mist Rolling In podcast. Sunday, we have 2 kickoff shows because City men and women play on the same day in a span of like 5 hours. So buckle in, Shady Gang. It's going to be a wild Sunday. But you know, Shades of Blue, we're here for you. Kickoff shows an hour before both matches. We'll be here for you to talk pre-match, starting 11, all those things. New episode that will be dropping soon. We're going to be talking about a wonderful weekend in Chicago.
What a time. What a time.
Whoa! And we will also be talking about in a couple of weeks. Hey, Casey. Hey, Boo. I'll be seeing you soon. And then also Washington, D.C., the Cap City Blues. Going to be kicking it with the Homie Snobby Boys pod also. Just amazing things. And then the U.S. tour. I'm going to be in New York. We're all gonna be in Chapel. Well, most of us are gonna be in Chapel Hill. And there's Ohio. Like, we're gonna be out and about. We're gonna be mixy. So, like, citizens, overall football fans, if you're just in that city, let me know, because I just want to be around. I want to be smiling. I want to be like, hi, friends.
Your boy.
I love good food. I love cocktails. I'm easily entertained. So, like, let's have a good time.
And he's also fun, so like you definitely want to hang out with him. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that too. I probably should have led with that.
Yeah.
Can confirm. After this past weekend, in fact, can confirm.
Oh, so we'll see you soon, and you know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.